Penguin Audio presents Kinsey and Me by Sue Grafton. Read by Judy, Kaye. Part 1. Kinsey. Introduction. Kinsey Millhone entered my life like an apparition sometime in 1977. I was living in Columbus, Ohio at the time, writing movies for television while my husband attended Ohio State, working on his Ph.D. She arrived by degrees, insinuating herself with all the cunning of a stray cat who knew long before I did that she was here to stay. The name came first. The Kinsey I spotted in a copy of The Hollywood Reporter in the little column announcing birth. A couple in Hollywood had named their infant daughter Kinsey, and the name leapt out at me. Millhone was probably the product of a finger stroll through the telephone book, or a random matching process, wherein I tried various syllables and rhythms until I found one that suited me. I should note that the novels are set in the 1980s because of the decision I made at the time to have Kinsey age 1 year for every 2.5 books. In A is for Alibi, she's 32 years old. 30 years later, in V is for Vengeance, she's 38. My only other choice was to have her age 1 year for every book, which would mean that if I kept her in real time, she'd be middle-aged by now and less likely to live with such reckless abandon. Since her life proceeds at such a measured pace, I am, myself, caught in a time warp. One obvious consequence of this same decision is that many of the technological advancements in the forensic sciences, and most certainly innovations in communications, are nowhere in evidence. No internet, no cell phones, little DNA testing. This means she's forced to do her sleuthing the old-fashioned way, which better suits her personal style and the needs of the narrative. I originally decided to write about a hard-boiled private eye because those are the books I was raised on. My father, C.W. Grafton, was a municipal bond attorney all his life, but he also wrote and published 3 mystery novels. The Rat Began to Gnaw the Rope, The Rope Began to Hang the Butcher, and Beyond a Reasonable Doubt. Because of him, I developed a real passion for the genre. I elected to write about a female protagonist at the outset because I'm female. Hot news, huh? And I figured it was my one area of expertise. When I started work on A is for Alibi, I wasn't even sure what a private investigator did. In the course of writing that first book, I began the long and continuing task of educating myself. I read books on forensics, toxicology, burglary and theft, homicide, arson, anatomy, and poisonous plants, among many others. My personal library has grown since I began writing about Kinsey, and I now have quite a storehouse of information at my fingertips. The cases I write about are invented, though some owe their inspiration to tidbits gleaned from the crime section of my local newspaper, which I clip from almost daily. I like looking at the dark side of human nature, trying to understand what makes people kill each other instead of going into therapy. In my soul, I'm a real law and order type, and I don't want people to get away with murder. In a mystery novel, there is justice, and I like that a lot. Kinsey is my alter ego, the person I might have been had I not married young and had children. The 68 VW she drove, until G is for Gumshoe, was a car I owned some years ago. In H is for Homicide, she acquires the 1974 VW, which sat in my driveway until I donated it as a raffle item for a local theater group. The lucky ticket holder won the car for her $10 purchase. It was pale blue, with only one minor ding in the left rear fender. I didn't mind Kinsey using the car, but with her driving record, I refused to put her on my insurance policy. What's stimulating about her presence in my life is that since...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?